If you're not having conversations on a regular basis about strategic partnerships, you're losing out on business, you're losing out on profit. So partnerships are very important, very effective, both in business and in your personal life. In fact, without partnerships, you're not going to be successful. That's a fundamental law of basically business and relationships. Relationships are built on partnerships, and business now, the more partnerships you have. Now, this is really interesting. When we study the most successful businesses out there, they have created an ecosystem of partnerships. If you take a look at Salesforce, for example, they have created partnerships with thousands of organizations. Not just hundreds, thousands of organizations. That's why they're continuing to be so successful. So the more partnerships you have, the greater and the bigger the ecosystem that you create, which drives more value to your customers and to your clients. The whole point here is that when it comes to a partnership, you need to know exactly what value you bring to the table, specifically to that partnership. Because the value you bring to one partnership doesn't necessarily meet the value. It might not be the same value that you bring to another partnership. So it's very important for you to understand who you are getting into a partnership with, because you can make assumptions to say that you are, let's just say, great in this, your organization has these resources and has this expertise. But guess what? Maybe the person across the table doesn't really care about that. Or maybe the person across the table has very similar expertise and they don't need your expertise. So that's why it's very important to do two things in particular. A, know exactly what expertise you can bring to the table. And secondly, know exactly what kind of expertise will add value to the person that's sitting across the table. And that means you need to do research. So I'm going to use an analogy. And for those of you who have watched my videos, you know very much that I talk about relationships a lot. Why? Because relationships are so important, specifically marriage or your significant other, because that is such a huge part of your life. Now, let's just say you were dating and you were courting a woman and you say, well, hey, guess what? One of the things that I bring to this partnership is I'm making X amount of money every year. Well, for one woman, it might be great. Maybe she wants to be a homemaker. Maybe she loves to be a stay-at-home mom. And she's like, that is awesome. You're bringing a lot of money to the table. I don't need to worry about work or finances or anything like that. I can take care of the kids. I know I'm getting ahead of myself here, but these are conversations that are important to have, and you need to relate this to business. But for her, you bring the right value to the table. Now let's take a look at another scenario. You come to the table and you say, I'm making X amount of money, thinking that it's going to be a grand slam. And that woman across the table is like, so what? Guess what? I make even more money than you. I don't need that. That's not bringing value to the table here. So now you've just blown it because you did not do your research, or maybe you may have assumed that what you brought to the table of value is important to this person just like it was important to somebody else. No, two people might value completely different things. So that's why it's so important to know what you bring to the table and know what the other person wants. Every time you are pitching your business to a potential partner, you need to know both things. Now, first of all, and this is common, and I'm not talking about just clients. That's not the kind of partnership that I'm talking about. I'm talking about strategic alliances with other business organizations that can bring additional value to your clients. That's the kind of partnership that I'm talking about. You need to be having these conversations with as many viable people as you can. People or organizations, because the bigger the ecosystem that you build, the more successful you will be. And you will be successful because you will be bringing more value to your clients. You'll be able to diversify your product line or your service line. You'll be able to reduce the risk, but because you're diversifying, right? You're going to be making more money. This is all part of strategic partnerships. It's very important. And if you're not having conversations on a regular basis about strategic partnerships, you're losing out on business, you're losing out on profit, and you're probably even creating a situation or scenario where your business won't be as competitively advantaged as it could be and may not be sustainable long term. Partnerships allow you to be more sustainable long term as well. So let's just sum it up here. A, to be successful in business, You need to be building partnerships and new partnerships all the time because the organizations evolve, the economy evolves, technology is evolving. You need to be able to keep up with the latest changes and bring on the right partners. And in order to do that, you need to do two things. You need to know what you bring to the table in terms of value and expertise, and you need to know what is relevant to the other people across the table. Specifically, each individual organization is different because each person, organization values different things. So you need to pay attention to that. Do your research. If you do those two things, you'll be a lot more successful in business.